Donk can leave Spirit, Tier 1 teams are banned from playing online matches, StarLadder Budapest begins, and Fissure Playground playoffs. Hello there friends, this is CS2 News Hub. Without further ado, let's get straight to it. And as always, we're kicking off today's video with your favorite topic, young talents. But Aurora didn't just find a young player, they might have found the youngest professional talent in CS history. Recently it was revealed that Aurora have officially signed an 8-year-old player. Yeah, you heard it right, 8 years old. Shalun is officially under the contract with Aurora. According to the organization itself, they're taking this very seriously. They're planning to train him, develop him, and basically raise him into the next big star. And Aurora's CEO, Mirage, said that this is just the beginning. He promised 3 or 4 more major announcements this year. But the main goal is clear, turn Shalun into the next Donk, Monesi, or Kyosuke, or better yet, someone who can surpass them. But here's the funniest part, Shalun is so young that FACEIT actually banned him until 2032 for being underage. Yeah, the kid just can't queue up a single puck for another decade. Imagine being signed for a pro team before you've even allowed to play matchmaking. Still, Aurora says that they will do everything possible to support him, to make sure he keeps improving, and to let him follow his path to greatness. Looks like Aurora just entered the Catch 'em Young race. Who knows, maybe in a few years we'll be talking about Shalun as the next CS2 prodigy, but for now, it's just a matter of time. Speaking of younger talents, we can't ignore the team led by none other than Kane. Remember him? He is the former Na'Vi analyst and coach who once worked with Passion UA when they still had the full Ukrainian lineup. Well, now after leaving the project, Kane built his own team called TNL, and they quickly started making noise. At one point, they even broke into HLTV's top 30, which is a wild thing for such a fresh and young lineup. And now it looks like TNL might finally be getting picked up by an org. According to recent hints, let's say, the frontrunners are none other than Inner Circle. And here's why. In ESL's latest post about the ESL Pro League Season 22 slot distribution, the Ukrainian team's spot was listed like Inner Circle. That's pretty sus, as you young kids say, considering Inner Circle only recently disbanded their old roster. So yeah, all signs are pointing that Kane and his boys are putting on new colors very soon. But before we move on to the next news, let me tell you about our great friends from CSGO Fast. It is the oldest and most trusted website in the history of CS skin games. Feel like Gabe and stole all your luck in CS? On CSGO Fast you can open tons of profitable cases and finally pull out the dream skin you've always wanted. They've got a huge variety of games, including intense case battles. You can even invite a friend to try to come out on top together. My favorite mode is Upgrade, where you can always turn your skins into something extremely rare. Here you can deposit your skins instantly. Yes, even after the recent CS2 update. If you're a true CS veteran, you already know the community has trusted CSGO Fast for years. That's why they have a loyalty system for regular users and a ranking system with the extra bonuses. And do I even need to mention their skin prices or insanely huge market? You already know it's awesome. Oh, if you don't want to deposit, no problem. You can always use the referral system to earn points. Use our promo code CS2 News Hub to get plus 10% to your deposit and a free case. The link will be in the pinned comment. Now, when it comes to updates, we just have to talk about Valve. And yeah, guys, shocking news. Sit down, please. They've actually been putting in work lately on something that just isn't new cases or new skins. According to data miners, we can actually see a new version of Valve anti-cheat next week. Some insiders are reporting that this updated anti-cheat should be way stronger than the old one and will finally be able to catch the cheats that VAC Classic couldn't even see. Like, imagine VAC finally detecting DMA cards, like facing is sweating right now. And honestly, if it's real, it's massive. Cheating has been the #1 problem for CS in years, maybe even bigger than the endless smoke bugs or half-baked updates. If Valve really cracked this, maybe, just maybe, there's hope that they will fix the actual game next. Who knows? Now guys, do you remember the Terminal Genesis case that Valve dropped recently? Yeah, it turns out there's actually some spicy drama around it. In a recent interview, the creator of the new AK-47 Oligarch, which many of you named the Valorant skin, dropped some interesting info. Apparently, the skins for this Genesis collection were sold to Valve for a fixed price. That's pretty unusual, because Valve normally pays out royalties whenever those skins get unboxed. And here's the kicker, the original Oligarch skin had a completely different color scheme, and even a different name. Valve just changed it all, they didn't ask, didn't care. Basically, they just went full, we're not a skin company, we're a $1 trillion indie studio. So maybe the whole CS2 skins look like Valorant thing isn't just about the artist at all. Maybe Valve once again just trying to recycle ideas. You know, slap new names on these ideas and just call it innovations. What do you think, guys? Tell us in the comments below. Speaking of Valve's problems, yeah, we gotta talk about the updates again. Sure, the new anti-cheat sounds great and it's finally like leveling up, but the actual game still needs to be polished. Last time we mentioned Xantares complaining that the spray parents just went crazy and became impossible to control. Now Navi Oper Wonderful is reporting something just as cursed. After the recent update, the Tickrate feels gone, like vanished. He straight up said he wants 128 Tickrate back, because otherwise CS2 is borderline unplayable. And the funniest part is that Valve didn't even say that they touched the Tickrate in the patch notes. All they admitted to was changing some nade sounds. Nothing like we reworked the sprays, nothing like we got Tickrate adjustments. Just new sounds, new skins, while half the player base swears the netcode got lobotomized. So yeah, more bugs, more chaos. But hey, what's CS2 even without bugs? Yeah, it can ruin your matches, but without it, the game would just be soulless, right? So if there's a lot of uncertainty about the game itself, there's at least one thing we can be sure of. Fallen will never fix his relationships with the AWP. That's right, the Brazilian legend has officially declared that he himself as a sniper is over. Fallen said he's fully committed to being a rifler now and the in-game leader, and he's not picking up the AWP again. Ever since Molodoi joined Furia, Fallen has focused on mentoring him, passing down all the knowledge from his insane career. And apparently, the shift has been so real that when Fallen recently grabbed an AWP in the deathmatch, just for fun, he admitted it felt awkward and uncomfortable. Imagine being the professor of the AWP and suddenly feeling like you're holding a shotgun with a scope. On a side note, how lucky Molodoi is, he's taught by Fallen himself. Wow, but I guess the expectations are high as well. Now, while Fallen is busy locking himself into the full-time rifler mode, Donk might be on the verge of something way bigger, like leaving Spirit altogether. The famous French insider KRL dropped a spicy bit of info. If Spirit fail at the Budapest Major, Donk will apparently have the chance to explore offers from European orgs. Imagine if Falcons came knocking, they'd basically yoink the two best Spirit players in a single year. Of course, this inside got quickly shut down by Overdrive, the scout for Team Spirit. According to him, the only transfer Donk is making right now is literally from Stockholm airport to his hotel. In his words, KRL was just a bit hammered, you know, drunk. So hypothetically, the big question is, if Donk leaves, where does he go? Falcons with their bottomless wallet? G2, who are always one crisis away from a roster move? Or maybe even Heroic, who could just throw around the millions they've been making on transfers and grab themselves the perfect young talent in CS. I know, everything sounds crazy, but let's have some fun, shall we? Speaking of top-tier teams, we just can't skip Navi, because their coach Blade just dropped a pretty heavy statement. According to him, Tier 1 teams straight up should not be playing online matches at all. Why? Because cheating is way too easy. No, he's not saying that the top teams are out there raider hacking, but think about all those tier 3 or tier 4 lineups. If it's possible at their level, it means there are vulnerabilities in the game itself, and sooner or later that kind of exploit could sneak its way into the tier 1 stage. It's basically a ticking time bomb, he says. He went even further and said that if online tournaments keep sticking around, the number of cheater incidents will only grow. But from what he's hearing, next year might actually see the end of online events altogether. But what did he mean by that? Unfortunately, we'll just have to wait and see. And just to remind you, this isn't Navi's first rodeo with the online drama. Back in 2021, their coach went full force, confident that Akuma used cheese against them during the RMRs, and, well, Akuma then got banned. Now, if Blade's previous statement made sense, this one raises a lot of eyebrows. Recently, he said that it might be the time to finally retire everyone's favorite map, Mirage, because it's been in the map pool for way too long. According to Blade, teams have memorized every corner, every smoke, and every angle, and now they're just playing it too well. So he thinks it's time for a change. And honestly, it kind of feels like friendly fire. I mean, just last year, and even at the start of this year, Mirage was Navi's strongest map, and now they're struggling to get results there. Makes you wonder, is Blade trying to remove it just to shake things up, or to cover for the team's current slump? You guys should tell us in the comments below. Speaking of Navi, we just simply have to dive into their performance at StarLadder StarSeries Fall 2025, also known as StarSeries 19. Arriving as clear favorites, Navi were looking to solidify their ranking and regain confidence. At least that's what Ime said. So in their first match they faced 9, and you know what? Surprisingly, things didn't go as smoothly as expected. The first map actually went to 9. But then the winner's vibes finally kicked in, and Navi took the next 2 maps, Nuke 13-4 and Inferno 13-8. Next up, Passion UA went against Gentlemates, and despite the Spanish team trying their hardest, the new Passion UA roster had big ambitions. They just smashed Inferno 13-4, and even on the second map, despite all the attempts from Martinez Za, Passion UA took it 13-9. Easy. Then came Parivision versus Bait. Of course, Parivision were stronger on paper at least, but Kansizor from Bait made a huge and unbelievable clutch 1v5. Just look at it. Sadly, it wasn't enough to swing the series. They pushed Parivision to overtimes, but James' squad just proved to be stronger, taking Inferno as well. The final match of the day featured Ninjas in Pyjamas versus OG, where Wrinkle and Kaspersky absolutely flexed their skills. The series ended 2-0 and the sniper's rating was 1.58, confirming the dominance. Down in the lower bracket, 9 faced Gentlemates. Despite 9's decent first match, they couldn't handle the Spaniards this time. Martinez again went 1.40 rating and Alex had 1.24. So the final scores were 13-6 and 13-11. 9 goodbye. In the second lower bracket match, OG played against Bait, and the first map was a complete stomp, with OG just dismantling the Ukrainian team, 13-1. But then OG just broke. They lost a tight 12-16 and then 9-13. So Bait won the series, which was a huge morale boost for the young team. As NPL, the captain of the team, said, beating OG is a massive achievement, especially considering they hadn't beaten a top 50 team on LAN since Austin Major. OG, on the other hand, were clearly disappointed. Nikodos mentioned they came for some VRS points, but ended up losing them instead, which is harsh. Meanwhile, in the upper bracket, Navi faced Passion UA, and with Makazi shining, Navi left nothing for the Americans. Train 13-6, Inferno 13-10. Also, Ninjas in Pyjamas together with Kaspersky crushed Parivision 2-0, setting up an exciting upper bracket final, Na'Vi vs Ninjas in Pyjamas. Speaking of tournaments, we obviously couldn't skip Fissure Playground playoffs. The first matches have already been played, and let's just say the drama was real. First up, the Mongols showed the Samurai exactly where they belong. The Esports World Cup champions proved stronger than the Blast winners. Mirage started off fairly balanced, but then G2 answered back on Dust too. Still, on Ancient, Senzo and company were just too strong. They had fun, they were chilling, and they were just not feeling G2. So yeah, bye-bye the Samurai. The second match featured Liquid vs Aurora, and here's the spicy part. Liquid, running a Last Dance roster, came out on top. And yeah, just to remind you once again, twistzz will move to FaZe clan after Fissure Playground ends. The scores were 13-9 and 13-8, with twistzz himself hitting a solid 1.45 and Naf impressing with 1.43. Meanwhile, the Turkish side had clear issues. Their leaders stopped fragging entirely, forcing Woxic to carry, and even that wasn't enough. Next, we saw Furia vs Astralis. Train was an absolute showcase for the Brazilian team. Initially, Molodey though had some struggles, but then he went around with the AWP and proved his fallen level sharp. Nuke went to overtimes though. Furia led 7-5 in the first half, and Astralis came back, hitting 12, but Furia pushed the match to OTs. The first OTs couldn't decide the winner, but in the second OTs, Furia ran 4 rounds straight, sending Astralis to D airport. The last match of the day was Falcons vs Spain. Considering Falcons' group stage results, it won't shock you that they just steamrolled over the Brazilians, 13-4 and 13-6. Nico reminded everyone why he's one of the best with 1.63, while Kiyosuke wasn't far behind at 1.42. Even Kixon outperformed last year's top 2 Monasi with 1.27. The Brazilians, on the other hand, had real issues. Only DJT managed to get positive, and the rest were far below expectations. Even the young talent Snow, who once knocked out Felon and his gang from the major, barely scrapped 0.05. Looking ahead to the semifinals, we'll see the Mongols versus Liquid's Last Dance, and it's gonna be insane if Liquid can pull it through. Like, their Last Dance roster could actually make it to the finals. If they lift the trophy, it would be legendary. On the other side, it's Furia vs Falcons. Guys, who's your pick? On one hand, we've got Nico, who can finally get some silverware. On the other, Furia, who has been consistently dominant throughout the year. So they absolutely deserve at least a spot in the finals. What's your prediction for the tournament? Tell us in the comments below. And finally, that's all for today, my friends. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button, to follow our channel, and drop by in the comments below because it helps us develop a lot. We're not saying goodbye for a long time, friends. See you soon.